back on another exciting episode of Starfleet So Hail, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today, we're focused on Star Trek the Animated Series, The Practical Joker. what kind of practical jokes might we all concoct today? Let's see.
Contemporary ones from 1973 that weren't even really funny then.
I don't know. I found the episode to be quite a gas.
Laughing gas.
There we go. Look at that. Remember, that reminds me of Bones. We'll get to the bottom of this in the ship's computer laughing.
Yeah. You fell for it.
Yeah, that was kind of clever.
We got nice little audience participation today too, guys. Thanks for showing up. It's really nice to see everyone. Cake is Eternal has a good question. What practical jokes did you and your friends play on each other? We'll have to spend some time recalling these things. I wasn't much of a practical joker as a kid. I did have a stint where I tried, but all my jokes were maybe a little cringe, I think, or something. Like they might have been too much or too grand in their designs, perhaps, and they didn't execute as well. But I knew a few practical jokers, and they were always great at executing a good laugh when you needed one. How about you guys?
I used to do practical. I mean, I don't know if they're practical jokes, but we did jokes and stuff like that. The in college, when you back in the early days of computers, if you booted up a PC, it played a sound clip, but it had to play the entire sound clip. You couldn't just stop it or skip it. So I put in the speech from the end of Red Dawn, which just goes on and on about so every time the person loaded up the computer, they didn't know how to take it off. So that was my practical joke.
That's a good one.
And when I was grocery shopping with my mother, my brother and I would both try and put something in the cart that she didn't notice. So when she got to the checkout, it'd be like, why is there a ham hock or whatever? It's like those are the two that I can remember off the top of my head.
That's pretty funny.
Gosh, I was a pretty serious kid, but there was a phase, and God, I was just talking about this at work the other day. There was a phase in middle school where, and this is terrible, but a friend of mine and I would there was like a 1-800 number that you could. As a promotional thing to get like a free sample of Depends undergarments, and we would order them to the houses of kids we didn't like in middle school, and like their day bond. What am I getting these diapers for? It was terrible, but yeah, that's about the extent of my practical joking.
Very good, very good. Well, audience, share your practical jokes with us as we go along the episode. By the way, we have Father in the audience, which is cool. He's
cool.
Hailing from the high seas. Howdy from the Atlantic. Hope your cruise is going well. It looks really fun so far. I've been following the updates, and everyone who wants to see can go check out Father on the socials. He's been posting. I just saw your video on TikTok. I don't know. I saw it on TikTok or Twitter. I forget where I saw it, but we're trying to TikTok. We're trying to get some ship-to-shore transmissions from Father for today's episode, so hopefully we'll get something from that. That'll be really cool. Let's see here. Wow, that chat's so chattery that I can't even keep up. I'll try my best to, though. There's a lot of cool folks in there. If you guys can help, if you see a chat that you want to highlight, let me know and I'll try to do it from the chat. I should figure out how to give you guys like control also. That would be really helpful. But anyways, let's get down to it. So this episode, The Practical Joker, if neither of you guys want to do the episode summary, I think this one's pretty simple. I can probably do it.
Go for it.
All right, cool. So while being chased by Romulans, the Enterprise goes through an anomalous cloud, and which looks like a party. And on the other end of the cloud, when they come through, all of a sudden these mysterious practical... Well, at first, they think a member of the crew is playing practical jokes on the crew. Various things from Spock getting ink rings on his eyes from a new instrument that's been placed, to the food, the milk spilling or whatever they were drinking on their shirts, and the fork bending with the food. All kinds of little jokes here and there, especially in the rec room and stuff like that. But finally, it gets a little too much, and the jokes are kind of mean. Like Captain Kirk has like a Kirk is a jerk shirt. All of his wardrobe says Kirk is a jerk, and so they started investigating, and lo and behold, the practical joker is the Enterprise herself. Somehow the cloud created a computer glitch, or like, which can be replicated apparently.
Sentient, or
Yeah, or like somehow gave sentience to the Enterprise, and she decided that she's gonna do jokes. So that's
I'm
what
always wondering if
happened.
it's like, now I just think about it, it's like maybe it's sort of a V'ger type cloud or something, because when they could fly into it, it looks like the inside of like the 2001 space tunnel or something. It doesn't
It
look
does.
organic. It looks very mechanical.
It does indeed.
So maybe
Anyways,
it's a
so
maybe it's a V'ger cloud that's like part of their it's like a shuttle version of
yeah,
V'ger.
yeah, like a little advanced V'ger
Yeah.
cloud. That like was there. But so what is the Enterprise's ultimate goal? Is to play a trick on the Romulans who were shooting at her and giving her a hard time, and so she creates an inflatable Enterprise that's 3 times the size of the Enterprise, and the Romulans fall for it. And
I can explain that one when we get to it.
yes,
Okay.
excellent. And not only do they fall for it, but they Kirk tricks the Enterprise. He's so good at tricking computers when they misbehave. He's like, he tricks the Enterprise into thinking that he's scared of the cloud. So the Enterprise,
Like the look of his face was like so badly
so
done.
good. So the Enterprise goes back through this cloud just to piss off Kirk some more, but it falls to it's a detriment to the practical joker consciousness that invaded, and it gets sucked back into the cloud apparently, and all is well that ends well. So yeah, that's my summary. Not too bad, right? Like 5 minutes, I think. Well, let's get right into it. What are your opening thoughts on this episode? Why don't you go first, Aaron, and then we'll get the sub commander's thoughts.
For me, I've always liked this because it was, the first holodeck, essentially. I mean, I didn't know it at the time when I first saw it, but I think I just like the whole idea of the giant inflatable Enterprise when I was little. But yeah, no, I've always enjoyed it. It's, if you think about it too hard, it kind of all falls apart. But it's a fun romp, basically.
That's a good way of describing it. It's a romp. That's exactly what it is. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, no, I agree with Aaron. This was a fun romp. I had seen part of this episode before. I'm ashamed to admit I probably fell asleep under the influence of a few beverages when I first saw it late at night one time after a TOS Saturday night. So I didn't make it past, I think, the holodeck scene, or the scene where it's snowing in the rec room.
Yeah.
But I like it. I mean, I like the Romulans are there with these cool uniforms we were talking about before we started. And I liked, it was just interesting to have the characters react to this kind of scenario where there's so much at first humor, and then it's turning to annoyance, and just even hearing how the actors laugh and that kind of thing. And there were a lot of, beats in it, and I'm sure we'll get into it, that were similar to many original series episodes. So, for all those reasons, I liked it. It felt like it kept moving. And yeah, again, you don't want to think about it, the practical elements of it, too hard, but just accept it for what it is and enjoy the ride.
Yeah,
I also
totally.
did like that the first holodeck episode is also the first holodeck malfunction.
Of course. I think just hearing George Takei's laugh, it just puts you in a good mood. So
you can tell though when they're laughing together that they weren't really together, because it all sounds really odd.
Yes, it does. But it put me in a good mood.
Yeah, no, it's just, but it was just funny that it's like, yeah, you're not in the same room, are you?
That is interesting that kind of everyone's first idea of the holodeck is TNG, because of that scene in Encounter at Farpoint makes such a big deal about it and how it works. So it really sticks to your head. But looking back at this episode, that is in fact a holodeck. Like, that's what it is. And it even has like a little control panel that's shaped in an arch kind of shape, which is interesting as well. So yeah,
there's a Voyager one that looks very similar to that, their HoloLab.
That's right. That's right.
Really close. And even when they open the door, the how it looks like when you open a holodeck door.
Oh yeah,
you sort of just see through the background. But she did point, Uhura points out that if you keep walking, you'll eventually hit the wall, which that would be different than a holodeck, where it might just keep moving
shifting
the
you
ground.
around.
Yeah.
Right, and then I like also I mean, it's pretty clever though. The ship thought of it like the ship thought about that and then created a maze, and
Yeah.
like just to like throw them off further to see if that she could prevent them from getting out. So it's very interesting. Like those were some of the things that were really cool about like the ship's sentience. It made me think a lot about Zora in Star Trek Discovery because, in a way, even though it's treated as a practical joker here, the ship this malfunction or whatever happened like caused the ship to like at least an aspect of the ship to come into being as a consciousness, which is funny. A very mean practical jokey consciousness but still nonetheless. But yeah, so the other thing I thought about in the holodeck scene, since we're talking about it, it's okay if we skip around sometimes, but since we're already there, was how when Bones kind of collapsed, and it reminded me of Star Trek 6 when he did the same.
I'm finished.
Like, leave me, I'm finished. Come on.
He doesn't like the cold. That guy. It was the same with.
Kind of reminded me of in the Jihad with what's his name, the EM3 Green or whatever. He's no, come on, leave me.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It felt like I'm sad there's only three episodes left, I think, for us to talk about, but it feels like the faces got an upgrade this season. It looks like a lot of they look a lot more like the actors and have more nuances and more details, and I feel like it was something noticeable in this episode for some reason. More than in previous ones. Ooh, wow! What's that?
Sorry, I was trying to move the camera down just a tad, and it just like, woo! It has too much headroom.
The other nice thing about the holodeck part was that it was some different characters. I mean, Uhura, Sulu, and McCoy together, and I know the actors aren't physically together reacting off each other, but for the purposes of the story, they're having their own little sub adventure. And actually, Spock didn't feature very much in this one. I mean, a lot of the emphasis was on them in the holodeck or the rec room. Sorry, and Uhura coming up with the original idea. Well, we just got to keep walking, and then we'll find a wall. And I liked those interactions. It's a little different. Yeah, something you never really saw in the original series very much.
It's kind of like what we were talking about when we were watching Lower Decks. They started pairing them off in different groups, which worked really nicely. So it's cool to see different groups reacting together.
Yeah,
it's true.
Different personalities, and seeing Maurice and Eric's, eating together in the
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah. Even though Scotty totally didn't believe them and was like,
he was going to write them up.
I'm gonna write you up. There's some very iconic memeable things in this episode too, like that one with the food replicator throwing out, the different food. You guys, I'll be right back. One of you guys take the con because I'm trying to upload this video and it's giving me a little error. So I'm gonna mute myself just real quick.
Okay. Well, we can talk about the flying food. Actually, the replicator did the same sort of thing in the Short Trek Runaway.
Okay.
Where they just it started just shooting stuff out, and it was just like, and it kept talking about what it was throwing out, like pizza, tacos, whatever. But it felt very much like this. It had the same sort of feeling.
Yeah, the humor potential of the food synthesizers or replicator is.
Then there's the pie in the face thing, so that's. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, there's that. One thing, it's kind of funny, or not funny, but one thing I noted was just, the Romulans are still using that Klingon design, even though it's not really because of a model that they have.
I actually wrote that down too. It's just like, wait, why
are they still using
it?
Yeah, exactly. But maybe.
But if you notice, it is slightly different colored, and it has markings on it that indicate like that they're Romulan. So that
reminds me of like how we have the space shuttle, the STS, and then the Russians had, what was it called? Like their version. It was like, what is it?
Baron.
Yeah, the Baron. Yeah, the Baron. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And so it was like very similar designs to each other. But anyways, I'll be back.
I don't know.
So I think it was probably the same reason that they actually in TOS they lost the model. But in this, I'm assuming it's just they had one already drawn. It was just easier to repaint something instead of draw new images.
Yeah.
So it's just a simple reuse.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's often said that, when you're dealing with animation, you can do anything because, you're not restricted by the physical world. But I guess in practicality, and you would know best from, researching the book that, there's time constraints. And if you've got
time constraints is the big thing. Yeah.
if you've got illustrations that are totally usable, go with them.
Yeah.
So
we have 3 weeks to get this done. Should we draw a new ship? Nope.
And again, it was 3 ships, just like in the Enterprise incident, surrounded by do they always go in 3s, Romulans now?
And I think a lot of that too is that they were referencing TOS a lot. They had I had a folder of the reference materials that Bob was using, and it was a lot of like photos from like press photos from the show, or so they'll get a shot of the 3 ships together. There was also, we noticed in the yesteryear when we had like the Romulan that looked very like light colored, because who's been not Romulan, sorry, Andorian. Yeah, who's been retconned to be an Anar, or at least partially. The original version of the images that they got from CBS, it looked that color. Like they showed an Andorian, and it did not look blue. It looked very gray. So I'm assuming that they were just like, okay, that's what they sent us, so we have to copy that.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. One thing I noticed when they went into the holodeck, God, I keep saying that, rec room. It's impossible. Who cares? I'll just say holodeck.
Yeah, it's
fine. Uhura has a line. Well, one, I love that they're deciding to chill out together, the 3 of them. But she has a line like, hopefully, we can. The rec room is still working. We can take our off hour there. I'm like, off hour? You get 1 hour? That's it? It's like, really? And then back on duty?
It's their lunch break, maybe. That's the hour.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Yeah, that's
because everybody's eating lunch. So
the lunch
break
from hell.
Good point.
I also noticed that the rec room has it's available light as opposed to it's in use. So it's like, had it been an alarm that goes all the time until it is actually an alarm, and then it stops.
It's like an airport or airplane restroom, I guess, with a little, it's locked, available.
Our subspace communications were established, and we have the video from Father. But first, I just want to highlight Joel's comments. I thought it was cool that Eric's was in command on the bridge as well. That was a neat moment.
But was he? Because they were both they were all on the bridge that needed to be there. They're Captain and Spock. That was actually something I noted. I'm like, wait, why is he in the captain's chair? It's cool, but
it could have been a practical joke we didn't see, where the Enterprise told him to be in command, and that's why when Kirk came on, he's like, "What the heck's going on?"
I still want to know how the computer got the eyepiece thing there.
Oh yeah, I think it probably, like anything that's that required like setting up a thing like that. Either there's like either it used the transporter, it not only became a practical joker, but it somehow like was able to like manipulate the existing technology.
It invented the replicator.
Yeah, like the replicator or whatever. Right, exactly. You never know.
Hey, maybe that's where this comes from. Replicators come from this accident.
Or it simply tricked a crew person to do it, like somehow through the communications system or something like that. Yeah,
give them work order.
Exactly. Well, here's Father's video. Let's see.
Howdy. This is Fathery reporting in from day 3 of the Trek cruise. Sohel asked if I would say hi and talk a little bit about what's going on and some thoughts on the TAS episode, The Practical Joker. But yeah, the cruise, it kind of feels like last year was kind of a weird one because it was in Long Beach to launch. We've always been on the East Coast before. It was also like snowing in Southern California when I visited Vasquez Rocks that morning and then boarded the cruise ship in Long Beach. So this almost kind of feels much more like a return to normalcy. But there hasn't been like a ton going on today. It was a sea day. We haven't reached any of the ports yet, but the next 2 days we will be at our destinations, Aruba and Curacao. I've never visited either, so that's really exciting. There's a triple toss going on the pool deck somewhere over yonder that I guess I'll go check out. But as for the Practical Joker, I really love the inclusion of the Romulans in TAS. We get our kind of first episode using a holodeck type technology as a plot point, so that's going to be a trend that definitely recurs. But it also has the very memeable Kirk is a jerk shirt which my plan is to recreate. I would like to get a very screen accurate TOS Kirk gold captain uniform and have the letters printed on the back, Kirk is a jerk. So maybe Vegas, I'll be walking around in that. But I will be doing some cosplay on the cruise, so I've been posting some pictures. I had a great photo op today with Gates McFadden, Ed Spaliers, and Will Wheaton, and I was in Ensign Crusher from the very last episode, the very last scene of Picard Season 3 uniform. So I'll send a picture of that picture to Sohel. But that's all I got for now. Live long and prosper, y'all.
That was really cool.
That's great.
Hey,
Good,
Father.
good.
Sure. He might be watching. I'm not sure what's going on because he was in the chat earlier. So thanks for sending that update, Father. And it looks like we all kind of have very similar observations and thoughts about this episode. We all kind of like the same things. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to put up some photos. Thanks for sending these along. Speaking of Kirk is a jerk, Aaron, you've got something. Oh, you gotta. There we go. There we go.
It jumps up.
It jumps up to just Kirk is a hey, fill in the blank.
All right. It's an automatic adjusting camera.
We get it.
It was very cool. It was very cool.
But you can buy that at paramount.com.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. I remember reading on Twitter there was some young girl who had either made the shirt or maybe she got it from there and wore it and showed it to William Shatner at some convention. Of course, he was very huffy about it.
That was one that she made, I think.
Yeah, that's right. It was a homemade one. I'm sure he had never seen the episode, let alone would have remembered it had he seen it.
It was a big thing when it
thing.
Came out for the 50th anniversary when we did this shirt and they posted it. People, it was like, basically, tell me you've never seen the animated series without telling me you've never seen the animated series. They're trying to erase Shatner and this is so rude and blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, I finally ended up muting the thread because I'm like, I'm done. I just like,
yeah.
I can't correct everyone. It was just like, fine, whatever.
Yeah, I know. It's like when someone doesn't get the content and they're just triggered.
They're just like, why would you even make that? Even if that's true. I'm like, it's the 50th anniversary of a cartoon and there's literally a shirt in the episode. How would you not make that? You would be bad marketing if you did. Yeah.
It's such a great deep cut. Yeah. It's not even that deep. I mean, but it's great. Yeah.
It's part of Star Trek lore now at this point. But yeah, there's the thing. So Father says he's gonna make a screen accurate uniform.
That's cool.
With Kirk is a jerk on it.
Actually, look at the. Sorry to interrupt, but like, look at the image of the Enterprise on the wall back there. It has like the slantedness cells as, or they're in the Phase 2 Enterprise, or it's not like the original Enterprise where they just come out straight. But that's interesting.
And the boat, like it looks like the D secondary hull rather than the traditional.
Oh yeah.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. The Practical Joker did that.
I want a model of that ship. Eagle Moss, make that one.
Oh, that'd be fun. It's like, yeah, if you get down to that, we're just like, okay, if you take the sketches on the side of the wall.
That's a real deep cut.
Yeah.
Strange New Worlds. Hello, bring back Romulans and do these uniforms because these are amazing. I love this. And
wait, we haven't seen Romulans up to that point, though, right?
No, we haven't. You're right. But maybe if they could come up with a clever way to show Romulans without like.
Well, we could see them.
Yeah, we could see them. Exactly. The audience.
The Starfleet people can't.
Right. Exactly. But I do really like this style. I'm going to explore this a little further. Maybe I'll make a cosplay as a Romulan finally.
That would be
cool. Here's what you're referring to earlier about like the kind of 2001 / V'ger visuals here.
Very computery.
Yeah. It makes sense though from the upside. I love the art. I feel like you could like blow that up and put it up on the wall. It's cool.
Oh, I'm trying to make like a random art piece that's supposed to reference Star Trek without being Star Trek. Like maybe I should do something with that.
Yeah, voila, there you go.
Cool.
I like the scale mail they seem to be wearing. The wrong.
Oh
yeah. Looks.
Or maybe they're bird feathers. You know, kind of
not only that, they have like the kind of like the cool collar with the pleated, or what do you call that? Not pleated
collar.
ribbed collar. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, they have this like ribbed collar and stuff. It's
And
like
later Starfleet stole that design for their monster maroons, right?
exactly.
Federation
you
now
get-
using Romulan design.
It's like the right color and everything.
It's true.
No, I guess there was a white color, isn't it?
Yeah, red was for cadet. Yeah.
And then here's the information you sent over, Aaron, about the inflatable. And I thought this was very cool that it's like a reference to inflatable decoys that were used before in World War One.
Yep. We actually kind of did that, and we also read what was the book? It was I had written it down, and then Joel mentioned it earlier too. Basically, it's like, oh yeah, how much for just the planet by John M.
Oh yeah.
In the very beginning, they talk about this, like what type of material it's made of, and how it can be compressed so small, and then what it does is basically sends a, not sonar signal, but whatever they use for the Romulans, it'll bounce off, so it'll give them the sensor reading that it's an actual regular sized, Enterprise or so they.
Oh yeah, so there's like technology involved with it. Like that makes really cool. That makes really cool. That makes really sense.
Really cool.
A lot of that makes really cool sense.
But it was kind of funny because
cool.
at the very beginning they also have they're in the mess hall, and Kirk asks for something, and it responds like, "Did you mean fish or whatever?" It's like, "No, a dish." It's like, it sounds like talking to Siri. It's just so funny to like listen to it or read that and just like, okay, yeah, this is exactly how this works.
Ahead of its time.
Yeah,
I forget now, and I don't want to say its name because it'll turn on. But whenever I ask that thing for something and it doesn't understand, I'm like, it's the weirdest stuff. Like you're asking for something really basic, like jazzy classical music or something, and then it plays like rap music, and you're like, what are you doing, Siri? Like, I mean, yeah, it has its origins in jazz perhaps and classical, but that's not what I asked for.
I asked yesterday, is like, what was the day that season 2 of Star Trek Lower Decks premiered? And it said Lower Decks season 14 blah blah, but some other show, like randomly. Like, no, that's not what I said. So I reset it very slowly, still couldn't get it. I'm like, what? It understood 1 and 3, but not episode or season 2.
Huh. Interesting.
Very strange.
That is very, very strange.
How Much for the Planet is the original musical episode.
I really have to read that book again. I read it when I was a kid. It's been a long, long time. I used to read a lot of Star Trek books when I was a kid, and I'm not a kid anymore.
Cake is Eternal mentioned that the Romulan had a very casual accent. Though the Romulan commander was was Norman Prescott, I think. I wrote it down. Sorry, let me grab my book stuff here. There we go. So Lou Scheimer.
Scheimer.
Oh, okay.
I'm going the wrong way. Okay, there. Norman Prescott was the Romulan commander, and Lou Scheimer was the crewman.
Right, and he must have done some voices in Fat Albert, because he sounds just like
yeah. And if you listen to
Donald,
Arc 2,
yeah,
I think the introduction narration is also done by him.
Okay, interesting.
That live action 70s show. And there's a crewman. The other person that we weren't able to identify was the person talking to the bridge saying, "Hey, we can't get them out of here," or whatever. It's like nobody knows who that was because it's not neither of them. So
interesting.
It's wild to me that some performers are just like lost to the ages. That's crazy.
I mean, maybe eventually we'll find it. It's one of those, I feel like we could have researched this book for 10 years and it probably, could still be finding stuff.
Yeah.
So when anybody comes to me, it's like, well, you didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, we can't possibly know all of this because a lot of the people are gone. That's part of the problem, and then so.
Oh, this was one thing I had in my notes. I just noticed this was another time where Spock was susceptible to something that's like not as harmful to humans. So yeah, the laughing gas was bad for him. He passed out and he was just in time able to fix the air scrubbers.
Yeah,
or whatever.
I jokingly said season 2 is how to take out a Vulcan. I mean, it's like we had in the what is it, Pirates of Orion, the virus that so we get his weaknesses in this season.
I
That'd be
like
cool if they
the
brought that back, using that against Vulcan somehow.
against Vulcans. Yeah, it
Mhm.
must not have been entered into the official logs.
Just laughing in general makes them upset. So
Upset, yeah, it's pretty true. I like the part where Scotty's about to turn off the computer, and we get to see what's behind those circuit things. There's like even more circuits, like there's layers and layers of circuits, so that was kind of cool. But then what does he say? Time for a nap, old girl. Captain's orders. I thought that was really cool. And then when they were going through the cloud, he said something else like "little darling," which I thought was cool too. Like his
But then he got
affection
really
for the
upset at other times too. It was like, monumental, whatever, something. Just like, yeah. I thought it was interesting that they had the gravity turned off, which is something you obviously wouldn't have been able to do in TOS. So
Yeah,
that was fun.
Yeah,
That's a
that was
different
fun.
effect. I like that McCoy, when they were frustrated in the rec room and he was wondering, if I ever get my hands on the guy who did this, says, I'm going to put him in sick bay for a week. I always love it when he has a line like that in This Side of Paradise, where you want to see how fast I could put you in a hospital. But like those kind of lines when he references injuring someone as a doctor, it's always kind of funny.
That was a very I'm gonna put that crew, whoever did this, into the sick bay or whatever
for a week.
Yeah. But yeah, it is, the whole idea of like, let's fly back through the cloud and it will undo it. It kind of reminds me of the old trope in like Gilligan's Island or whatever. Somebody has amnesia and they hit them again with the coconut and then they're back to normal. So like, it's that kind of logic.
Yeah.
That is kind of like what it's like. That's really funny. I hadn't thought about that. Mario in the audience, by the way, nice to see you. Mario says, I'll pay real money for him to shut up. Love that McCoy line in every country. It's true. That was another good one.
Yeah.
Stress-free K says the charm of the animated series is that it doesn't seem to stress the details. Yeah, I guess that's true. Which is kind of
the
like,
funny thing is how much of it you can actually kind of go back and make work. I mean, some of it's just no, but a lot of it is, okay, this could be a TOS episode. This could be a TNG episode,
And the more and more modern shows that are referenced, we see a lot more references to the animated series than I recall in the previous kind of eras.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In the newest era. So the more references we get, the more it kind of fills in these little details, which is pretty cool.
When we saw the Vendorians on Lower Decks, it was like tripled our knowledge of what the Vendorians
Yeah, it's true. And it's like, this is why people give me a hard time about my concept of three-dimensional canon, but that's how I really truly view it, is that things later on could inform things in the past and kind of like fill in the gaps. So it's not like just like and it's also, Star Trek has a living canon, which I always try to remind people too. It's not set in stone yet. Like there's Star Trek's still going on. The story's still being told. Like anything's on the table. So
with the season 2 of Strange New Worlds, we also know that the Romulans are kind of messing with things too. So we our timeline doesn't always have to match up,
right? Which kind of
Bonaventure like from the time trap. We've moved that into like post NX, and if you look at it from their original version, it was like, oh, it was the first starship with warp drive. Like, yeah, no. I know that Dayton Ward had retconned it to the first modern starship with warp drive. It was like the first warp 7 capable ship or something like that, which sort of works. So
yeah, exactly. Very cool. Let's see, what else have we got to talk about on this episode? Let's see on my notes here. I think I covered everything that I noticed. What about you guys?
Well, I just liked some of the other kind of TOS-ish sort of references. I mean, the practical jokes made me think of, Finnegan with the bowl of cold soup in your bed and the half empty bucket on your door, or how the episode ends felt very much like Trouble with Tribbles, where they were passing off the ridiculous stuff to the Klingons, the Tribbles to the Klingons. Here it's the practical joking.
Oh yeah, I like that.
He's like,
thing. What did he say? We'll give them the solution, but not just yet. Let's let them enjoy it for a little while.
Yeah, and just even the having the computer have a bit of a personality was a little bit like the it's a bit dated now, but the female computer personality in Tomorrow Is Yesterday, in the Air Force episode where Captain, what's his name?
Flirting with him?
Christopher, is like, what's going on with your computer? So it's installed by a planet of women and that blah blah blah. But but yeah, no, there are so many little parts to kind of make you laugh in there. The one thing I wanted to ask was, I feel like at one point there was an episode for TOS, like for the 4th season, that never happened. That was going to be about the ship becoming conscious, but like conscious as an infant. And like, it was like you'd hear the sounds of a crying baby through the intercom system, and they never made this script. But does that ring a bell for either of you? Did that, or was that like a phase 2 thing? Or I don't know. I feel like it was for.
It wasn't phase 2 because I've seen like the breakdown for that.
I've seen all those. Okay. I feel like, I mean, maybe it wasn't even a script. Maybe it was just an idea, but I know I read that somewhere, but.
The concept finally came to light in Discovery, I think, in the most tangible way, because they have an actual character now. The Discovery's computer is called Zora, and Zora evolved from this episode. Well, Zora first appeared in this episode called Calypso, which was a short trek, and then
I wonder if they're going to fix that somehow, like the last season. Are we going to figure out how that worked? Because
so real quick,
the ship is not right.
Real quick, Discovery moment here. The last trailer, I believe, because I think the show launches on April 4th, so I doubt we'll get another trailer. But the most recent trailer just dropped, and surrounding it, of course, is a bunch of like press and stuff like that. And I think Mick Jost was the one who got this scoop, but he asked one of the producers, or Michelle Paradise or someone, I'm sorry, I don't know the details of the facts here, but he asked someone on the production team about that episode, and they said, we will have answers in season 5. So we'll see. Yeah, so it's interesting. And spoilers for the trailer if you haven't seen it. Let's see. Father says, I came up with an explanation for Calypso for something revealed in Disco season 4. Oh, interesting. Is that something they already talked about on Text Track? And if so, what episode, so we can go watch it? Because Father seems to remember those things. I couldn't tell you anything about an episode of Starfleet so well. Pretty fast. It's like a goldfish. It goes in and out of my mind. You guys will have to tell me. But some spoilers. There are some interesting little things going on when you watch the trailer in freeze frame. You can see that perhaps they're going to other time periods or other
mirror universe.
Mirror universe. So there's a lot going on. But I
still want the giant library thing to be memory alpha. I think that would be cool. It's probably not. There's a scene where they also look like they're kind of in robes, so I'm guessing it's sort of like a monastery kind of thing, where it's like they've saved all of the knowledge of the universe or whatever after the burn, and that's my guess.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Sounds reasonable.
Well, I'm sure when Father gets back from the cruise, we'll have like a stream on Text Track where we would break it all down, or someone else's podcast. I don't do those breakdowns as often, but we'll try. We could give it a try too, if that's the case. Strange how things seem totally different when you're living in a dream. Oh, they're talking about maybe Zora was dreaming up Calypso. I think that's a cop out. I want it to be a fun timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly thing that I didn't expect.
Like they defuturize the Discovery and try and send it back in time or something, or
something like that. Yeah. Or maybe it can show, maybe it'll be a way to show that, like, maybe there's an alternate timeline or something like where they try to like go back thinking that they can reintegrate into the past, like you said, but it'll only lead to trouble, so they end up not doing it or something. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, that's fun. Maybe Adam will catch up on Star Trek Discovery one day. And
well, I still have to catch up on the last season.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Oh, it'd be fun to watch with you. Like do watch longs with commentary. Maybe we'll do something like that. It'll be fun.
Okay.
All right. So if there's nothing else, we'll wrap it up and give our final thoughts. No audience, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, there was one thing I like that they actually say the gravity reverse the polarity. They actually use the term reverse polarity. It was like, okay, that's very sci-fi. Oh, the other thing, sorry, there was the unfortunate color of liquid that they used in the dribble glasses.
Yeah,
that's been used as a meme a lot as well. It looked more like white solid liquids and anything liquidy. The glasses were interesting looking too.
They were pretty weird.
But
I
yeah,
also
so
thought it's
I've seen that pointed out a couple times, and it's like very unfortunate, like especially how it's just plopped onto their shirt.
And I like that Dr. McCoy, it triggers like a memory of practical jokes of the past. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to show, that's right. Sohail, show my Crush Your Family pick if you like. I would like to. So hang on, we'll let Adam give his final thoughts and anything he'd like to promote while I pull that photo up, and then we'll go to Aaron next.
Okay. Well, I think I pretty much have exhausted everything I had to say about this episode, but it was fun to watch. It's one I'll probably watch again. I mean, it's been fun for me in general, just getting exposed to this series. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, I'd probably give it like an 8 or so, just for entertainment value. And again, part of me is just like, I enjoy hearing the actors laugh. I mean, because you don't really hear them laugh that much in the original series, not like hard laugh. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's still kind of interesting. It's another sort of performance that I didn't get to hear them give. So so it was good. And my usual thing is that I mention here is if you're interested in staying up late to midnight Eastern time, 9 p.m. West Coast time, they're doing another episode of the original series with a live tweeting thing called TOS Saturday Night. Sorry, I'm not explaining this very well. Hashtag TOS Saturday Night. We're doing the Doomsday Machine this evening. So if you want to join that, that's what's going on.
Oh, that's a fun episode. I think we've done, so I mean, they've obviously been doing this for a few years, but I think I did Doomsday Machine like a few years ago when it was in the rotation, and it was a fun time. Every time's different, of course, but it's always fun. So highly recommend it. The way, for those of you who don't know, the way it works is I think you can now do it on Discord, which I haven't tried yet, but it's just on Twitter or Blue Sky. The way it works, I don't know if they're doing Blue Sky, but on Twitter, at least, the way it works is you just kind of like look for the hashtag TOS Saturday Night, and everyone kind of like presses play around the same time, around midnight Eastern time, 9 p.m. Pacific, and then just tweet your observations, anything you're thinking about during that 1 hour or 2 hours, depending on if they're doing a double feature. It's just a lot of fun. And so you just keep kind of like seeing what folks are saying, and it just feels like you're watching with a group. It feels like a digital version of like hanging out with Trekkies and watching Star Trek.
It is fun.
It is super fun. So check it out. But yeah, Aaron, what about you? Any final thoughts? And let us know what's going on that you've got to promote.
I have an unreleased Saturday morning trek with John Champion and I, because it's a fun episode, but you do run out of things to say rather quickly. That's part of so we're like just sort of rambled into an hour, and we're just like, okay, no, we're not going to do that. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. To me, it feels like it's a good episode for parts, things that you can pull out and put into different future episodes, like the holodeck and bits and pieces like that. So. But no, I enjoyed it. It's fun. It's like I said, a romp, I guess. So if you don't think about it too hard, if you do think about it too hard, then it completely falls apart.
Totally. And you're gonna bring back soon some podcasting, right? We're gonna
Well, first and if you're into comic books, this week coming up on the 28th, my Star Trek Picard Academy cover is out, which looks like the Golden Gate Bridge travel poster. And then yesterday, the Sons of Trek #3 alternate cover that I did was released, and Todd Stachwick retweeted it, so that was kind of cool. It has a picture of Nog on the front, Nog and Liam Shaw.
Oh, yeah, that's very cool.
And since I knew Aaron, it was really cool that I got to actually draw somebody I knew. And I showed it to his wife first and got her approval. Like, does this look like Aaron? She's like, yes, it looks like Aaron. I'm like, okay, I always doubt my own ability to draw people and have them look like they're supposed to look. But yeah, so those are the two big things to him right now. And of course, the Star Trek Adventures TAS supplement is out there. So that's a fun thing. If you want to dive into more of the TAS stuff than we do, like traditionally, you can kind of get in there, and even if you don't use it as a game, it's got some interesting concepts and stuff. So And yes, and podcasting, we're going to bring back Saturday Morning Trek. I'm sorry. Drawn to Trek.
Drawn to Trek.
Yes. I've recorded an episode with Sean Farrick about the Kazinti, which I have to edit. And then you and I are going to start doing reviews of this show again. So I think we might figure out a way to do it that it's not linear, so it's not just like repeating the same thing over again.
Yeah, exactly. We'll do some different dives and stuff like that. Like it'll be a more structured show than casual and informal conversation.
Or maybe even pull out like all the things from PAS that came out that you see later, and so you could pull up several episodes into one or something like that. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing.
Very cool. All right, here's the picture of Fathery, the Crusher family. Come on, almost so bad at this. All right, here we go. The Crusher family reunion here. There's Dr. Crusher herself, Gates McFadden with Will Wheaton, and Ed Speleers, who is controversially in the first completely AI written movie.
Oh no,
which is really weird. I didn't even know. I didn't have any desire to particularly watch Irish Wish, other than I saw Ed Speleers was in it, but apparently it's also like completely written by AI. So now I kind of don't want to watch it, but I also kind of want to see what garbage it threw out, like to see how bad it is.
I'm happy to see Will is wearing a mask. I think that's actually not Will. Yeah, it is Will.
It is.
Like, no, it's Wesley. Wait.
Yeah. He does that. I noticed in a lot of pictures, and then he'll put up the bottom half of his face which is great.
I've seen people print it where like the bottom of their face is on the mask itself. So there was one person complaining in a doctor's office that they didn't wear a mask, and they went like this, and she said, "Oh, it is a mask. That's weird."
Fathery's gonna do a breakdown when he gets back, and I usually have the privilege of interviewing him, so I have a lot of questions about this photo op. Already just looking at it.
It also looks like Fathery has like a little bit of Vulcan ears going on there just because of the way it's cropped with the background and stuff.
Also, my very first question, Fathery, in case you encounter Ed Speleers again, is does he smell really good? Because I think he probably smells really good. I don't know why, but I think that. I had a lot of fun talking about this episode with you guys. If I had to rate this episode, I would also rate it a 9.5 because it was such a gas. It's such a fun episode, and I'll watch it again many times. And again, love seeing all the connections that Star Trek makes to its other selves. So that's very cool. Thank you for joining us, folks. Next week we'll be back with what is it called? The Albatross, I think, or
yes.
Albatross. Yeah, Albatross is our next episode. So look forward to doing that, and live long and prosper, everyone. And we will see